Welcome everyone to our start of our seventh season of doing these webinars. We started back when the pandemic hit in April of 2020, and here we are in our seventh season, first one of the year, and this is our 213th webinar that we have presented since we started. So, quite a number, and looking forward to continuing to do some more. So, today we're going to talk about a little bit of a step back to some basics, but we'll throw in a few things that probably are interesting to some of you folks that use use Ray Studio 3 a lot. So we're going to answer some questions and kind of have some fun with it and just kind of go through some things. So Ray Studio 3 Analysis Database, all about this important function. Just a little bit before we get going. I'm Roger. I'm from AIM Sports, National Training Manager. A little bit of a racing background in my history. Started with mainly off-road stuff up in the upper left corner, and did even a little bit of circle track racing in that little Volkswagen Rabbit in the upper right corner. Then I had a son that we started racing karts and legends and bandoleros, and then got into sports cars with a Spec Miata, and won the 2006 SCCA runoffs in the Spec Miata class, and that kept me super interested and got me really with him, got me into the data quite a bit, and with that I started chatting with AIM and ended up taking this on as a full-time job and started doing training and support, and that's what we do now. This was a picture back in Philadelphia at VAC Motorsports way back, and on-site seminar that we were doing back then. So, but that's my main job, is my full-time job today, doing things like this. So really enjoy doing these kind of things and training and getting everybody up to speed. The funny part is we're just going to jump right in, and what we're going to do today is almost all 100% live. We're going to try to click on buttons. We're going to make things happen and get you up to speed on the Ray Studio 3 database. So I'm going to bring up Ray Studio 3. Typically, as you open it, when you first open it up, it looks something like this. It's been a long time since I had an install that didn't have anything with the default settings, but this is what it pretty much looks like. So what I really want to talk about is the look and the feel, and some of the different ways of making this work for you. Some of these things are stuff that has gone by a little bit, and maybe you haven't worked with them a lot. So we're going to spend most of our time right here. But the very first thing we're going to do, I do see a question from Jeff there. Any chance we might get an updated document on Ray Studio 3? Going to talk about that a lot today, actually, Jeff. So be ready, and we'll show you where it's at. And we'll even share a link with you if you want to get it that way. But it's on your computer already, and it's kept up to date. Every time you update your software, at least, it updates it. So let's talk a little bit about a question that I get quite a bit that has to do with databasing. Two questions is, up here in the upper left corner, when you first open up Ray Studio 3, there is a preferences icon, and that icon is underneath that is the data download preferences. It's kind of where they've put this is kind of in an area that is a little bit funny to not super intuitive to get there. But if you click on that, this brings up this dialog box, and there's an advanced tab. This is all we're going to talk about here. We'll go over this data download preferences in another webinar that we'll do soon with all about data downloading. But when it comes to the database, there's a couple things here that I want to chat about at this tab, and the first one is this analysis mode. And in the analysis mode is when you download data from a Ray Studio 3 configured device. That's all the new stuff, all the current stuff, the Smarty Cams, all of those. It by default, the data goes into the Ray Studio 3 analysis. It's the checkbox. It'll be checked if you were to load the software nowadays. Early on, the checkbox, this one was also checked. And by having Ray Studio 2 analysis for your data checked, as well as Ray Studio 3, when you download data in Ray Studio 3, it was automatically taking the data, putting it into the Race Studio 3 database, but also making a copy of the Race Studio 2 style files, the DRK and the RRK file, and it was putting it in the Race Studio 2 database. So the next time you opened up Race Studio 2, all of those data files were already in your database in Race Studio 2. Some of you still occasionally go into Race Studio 2 to do something with your data. And if that is true and you don't want to have to re-import those all the time, come back in here and just check this Race Studio 2 analysis data, and you'll get that double database, sending of your data into the two different databases. I suggest you don't do that if you don't use Race Studio 2, and later versions of Race Studio 3 nowadays, when you put a brand new install, it is not checked. So just keep that in mind. And if you bring in video files, from your SmartyCam, and you want to get the data from them to bring them into Race Studio 2, they're always coming into 3, obviously, when you download the files and bring them in here. If you want the data files, those minimal data files that are embedded into the Race Studio video, into the SmartyCam 3 videos, check that box. And even when you bring the video in here, the smaller data sets, data files will go into Race Studio 2 as well. So keep that in mind. That's kind of a small little thing, but it's one of those things, if you need it, it is certainly handy to have. So keep that in mind. I'm going to turn those back off. And the other one that's under this box that we've gotten some questions about recently is this button. It hasn't been there all that long, but it's a change database position button. And if you click on that, you're given some options. The Race Studio 3 database is being stored, and we can open up. I'm going to click on this, and it's going to open up and go to where I've stored my Race Studio 3 database for Race Studio 3 production. I'm going to open that, and it goes there, and it's under the AIM Sport Race Studio 3 user, and then a folder called database, and there is a data.xrd file. In my case, it's 69 gigabytes, and the almost 70 gigabytes. And it is, this XRD file is your database. It is what you see when you look at the data files inside here. If you, just a little tip, if you want to, if you end up getting a new laptop, or you want to take your data from your desktop and put it on a laptop, or without having to have a little thumb drive, or a USB drive or something, a hard drive, you can do this. You can take this file. It's big. It's not going to fit on your standard little thumb drives, but you can grab one of these. You can grab this file, make a copy of it, and then take that to your laptop, to a brand new computer, put it somewhere on that computer. I suggest following the default. Put it under the database folder, under your user directory. Put it in there on your brand new computer with Race Studio 3 loaded, and then I'm going to click off of that. And then when you come into your brand new computer, this will of course be all blank, and you're going to come in there and you're going to hit click change your database position, and you're going to choose a new path. And when you choose a new path, you're going to drive with this. You're going to drive to wherever you place that very large file. And when you do that and you select that folder, your brand new install of Race Studio 3 on a brand new PC is going to open up, and it's going to look exactly like all the data files that you had in your old one are going to be in your new one. The only thing that you're not going to get right out of that, of course, is any stored profiles, stored math channels, things like that. You're going to have to do we've had webinars and discussions about that, and we'll have more in the near future, but you'll have to export your profiles and bring those over. You'll export your math channels, take those over and bring those in, and then then that computer will look exactly like the one you had before. So we've had a lot of discussions on how to work with your databases, and I just wanted to kind of cover that as part of this database discussion here today. So keep that in mind. Okay, I'm going to cancel out of that. The next thing I want to talk about is just the look and feel of this, and then we're going to go through all the different icons and and briefly talk about everything, not in depth, but give you a pretty good idea. What we have here is there's really there's really three different panels here. We're just looking at two right now because this is the way that by default it does it. But we've got our sessions or our events tab over here on the left edge. This one's always here. You can't turn it off or on. You can't move it. We can adjust things over here in the middle and on the right a little bit. But this is always going to be there. And when you download a data file, either directly from your logger, or if you bring it in as a data file has been given to you, an XRK file, or somebody emailed it to you, or you have one file that you want to bring on, we can import them in here as well, right? And we'll talk a little bit about how we do that. But when they are brought in, they are put right in order. By default, we are sorting by the date, and the newest stuff, the newest groupings of files are at the top. Okay, so in this case, you can see these little numbers over here. These numbers are really powerful, and something that my eye goes here before they go almost anywhere else. You can see that this one's just got a 1, and it was October 15th, 2025. It was a webinar file that Ray Phillips used in one of a recent webinar we did. There's just one data file underneath this grouping of sessions. In this case, there are two, but you notice there's 2 and a 2. And if I click on that one, it shows 3 here, but we're going to talk about what you're seeing here in just a second. We've got 2 data files and 2 video files from Matt that he did a webinar with. And you can see by the icons here, this means that there's a video and a data file, and they have been merged. The automated process when you bring in a data file and you bring in a video file, Ray Studio 3 looks at it, and if it is in any way it can do it, it 100% knows that those 2 files come together, it puts them together, and it's off and running. Rarely, but every once in a while, you'll get a video file that comes in from this. In this case, it's an 1118 right here, and a video file and a data file that would that have the same exact date, same number of laps, same best lap. They were at the same time, right? I broke these apart on purpose just to show you how it worked. And if you want to know how to do that, if you right-click on this one here that is merged, part of the menu item we have here, you can unlink the data in the video. That's what I did to these other 2. So if you ever find yourself with a data and video file came from the same one, uncheck everything and just check the 2 of them. Right click, and you have the option to link the data and the video back together. It comes up and asks you, are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure. And it then looks at it and says, okay, it truly does it, and we'll manually push these together. So now I have these 2 files that have video and data together. Okay, so that's what the 2 means over here. The first one is the data files. There were 2 data files, and if it has a number stacked like we're seeing here, there was 2 video files in this same series of files that was from this weekend, October 5th of 2025. Okay, if you scroll down here, you can see there's a bunch of data files in some of these. There's 1 in others, and if we go down there, there's not. I don't have a ton of video over here. There's another one that had two data files and 1 video file. So that's what those numbers mean on the side. In case you didn't understand that fully, I just wanted you to know that. You can sort these like everything in Ray Studio 3. You've got this date and you've got this little triangle. It is sorting by the date, and the oldest one's at the bottom, the newer one's at the top. If you want to switch that around, just click on that. Now the oldest stuff is at the top of my file. There's 23, there's 20, May of 23, April of 23. I tend to leave it at the default, and with everything sorted in this column, so when I bring new data in, it goes right to the top of this list. It makes it easy for me to find, right? So keep that in mind. Or if you want, you can sort by the track. And then if you want to see all of the data grouped by tracks, now of course the dates are now floating, but here's all from Portland, with the chicane. Here's pit race. Here's PSGK, a local kart track, and so forth. So you can sort by the track, alphabetical, and you can click it again, and it's alphabetical the other way, ascending versus descending. So keep that in mind. Very, very handy. So I'm going to go back to the date with the newest at the top, just to because that's the way I like to have it. New stuff at the top is handy for me. The next one that I want to chat about is the is what happens down here below here. We have what we call we call it accordioning. If we click on one of them, it opens up, right? And we've got not only the all events, which show us that there are 2,633 sessions of 2,633 available for me here. We can sort each one of these. You see, there's little cogged wheels here. So if I come into this cogged wheel, there is an import button. Let's say you have an XRK. We can click on that. It opens up this dialog box. It opens up in several other places. As we pass by them, I'll mention it again. But we can import, this is something a lot of people don't know either, is we can import the individual file. It's just looking for the XRK file. I'm gonna click on that. It's gonna ask me where is it, and we're gonna go find it, click on it, and click on OK, and boom, it's gonna be brought into the database. The other way we import is if I have it in a drive, and I've got XRKs, I just take them, because I don't download a ton. I get a lot of data. I don't download directly from Gauges very often, like most everybody does. If I have 10 files, I can click on one, hit Shift, click on the bottom one, and select them all in a Windows Explorer File Explorer button, and then just drag them over into this window anywhere and just drop them, and they will be imported into the database. So you can do this drag and drop, or you can go search for them with the import button or the import button here. Same exact thing. The other thing you can do is import entire folders and subfolders inside of that. So if you have all your data in a data folder, and you just want to, somebody gives you a zipped folder with 50 files from last year from them, you can unzip it, get it ready to go, and then just drag that. You can drag it in if you wanted to, or you can go hit the import folder, go drive to where that's at, and hit the button there, and it'll import everything that's in that folder and subfolders under it. So very, very powerful, very, very fast to bring in a lot of data. So keep that in mind, that the import functions are very, very strong. What else is under here? We can change database filters, and we can clean up and compress a database. I'm not going to do this now, but I will click on it just so you can see what it's about. It basically, I don't know the exact terms of it, but databases, it's moving stuff around and it's putting stuff and you're deleting stuff out. It's just like a hard drive, and defragging, maybe the old, that's how I think of it at least. And you can clean and compress the database. Mine is 66, and it can save me about 2.4 gigabytes in size if I were to do this. I have done it in the past. It wasn't terribly slow, but it makes a big deal of asking you. It's going to take some time, possibly hours. Our advice is to proceed overnight. Do you want to proceed? I'm going to say no, obviously now, but if you want to check that one out and see if there's some space you can save, go ahead and do that. It's not something I do very often, so if you're interested. And then the last one that's under here is one I use a lot. And it's change database filters. We're looking at, let me bring one up here. We've got all of these things that are available to us. If I come into this change database filters, it opens up a little dialog box here that allows me to say, from the database, I really only want to see data from, let's just go all the way to the bottom. Let's go to VIR. I only want to see data from VIR. And you'll notice that is some data in my folders in my database that do not have any data from VIR full. So those have now turned red, and it's put these up here where I can easily find if I want to only grab certain championships, certain sanctioning bodies, groups, or however I've named the championships, or race files, or certain drivers or certain vehicle numbers or whatever. I can continue to sort this down. So I'm just going to say we're going to go to SM championships and then click on OK. And what you're going to see is in my all events now, with SM cars at VIR full, we now have only 16 sessions after putting this filter on. And we can see what the filter is by clicking on that little bar right there. 16 sessions out of the 2,633. So there is makes it much easier to find what you're after using that. And that sometimes when I'm bringing in data and I'm going to stay there a long time, I'll use the search bar, which we're going to do here in just a moment. But I'll use this a lot if I know I'm going to be there for the entire weekend, and I'll just leave this here so I don't have to use the search bar a lot, and I find what I'm after. A recent added addition, if you haven't played with this function recently, if I go back in to change the filters, is they added a reset all. You used to have to come in here and click on all of the header buttons to get rid of all your filters. We now have a reset all that just takes you back to square one, where everything is available out of the database. So the next thing down that I thought it would be interesting to talk about is there are some other ones down here that not too many people use, and I wanted to go over those. We're spending most of our time here because this is where the real power of the database is. We'll get over some other stuff obviously, but the next accordion header is the AIM Cloud. If you just click on it, it now opens that up and shows you all the data that I have on my AIM Cloud, and the all events is now up here, and I've still got more down here that we're going to talk about. The AIM Cloud, not going to talk a ton about it, but the free version that a lot of you probably have is only 20 megabytes. That's enough to get 2 or 3 data files and move them around a little bit. But there is a pay for ability to increase that size, and it is the one that I use is the basic. The 50 gigabytes, as you can see right here, 50 gigabytes is what I use. And even with as many as I feel I want to do and people sharing data with me, I still got 46 gigabytes for free, free space. So that is, there is a cost to that, and it's $120 per year, euros, I'm sorry, 120 euros, which is about $11 a month. If you're interested in moving data around a lot, that might be something that's worth it to you. So keep that in mind. You can go in and you can click on that little cogged wheel, and you can go in there and look at your AIM Cloud plan. You can get settings to do that stuff we're not going to talk about a ton here today. You can change the filters for how you see and what you get there. So the AIM Cloud, another one of the bars here on the left where data may be. So keep that in mind. The next one, and I use all of these down here below a lot. So as the more I use it, the more I start to use these functions down here below. Recents and favorites. How many times has it happened? It happens to me a lot. So I'm assuming it does to you. Somebody gives you a file. It was from a couple of years ago. You ask somebody, hey, do you have anything that from Road Atlanta that was in the this time frame, right? Or from a Spec Miata or something, right? And they give you a file from quite a ways back. If you bring it into the all events and you're sorting by date, it's way down your list, right? And sometimes it's hard to go find that real easily because we're sorting it in a certain way. If you go to recents and favorites, number one, it's one of the last 30 imported. One of your options is the last data files you have imported are all listed right here. Since you imported them, you can click on the session date, like kind of the way recents are, or you can say when was it last imported. Now these are in order, sorting by when I actually brought them into my database. So kind of an interesting way of being able to find stuff that the last stuff you've brought in. How many times have you analyzed something and you go, I just want to get back to that file I analyzed just a couple of days ago, and you're trying to remember which one it was? There is a last 30 analyzed. So if we click on that, you have the ability to come in and that's kind of an interesting little graphical error. It's probably more mine on my machine than Race Studio 3 because I've never seen that before. You have the ability, there we go, to either do by the session date or time, or sort by the last day you analyzed the data files, right? So that you can sort by the laps, you can sort by the lap time, anything, all these headers across the top, you can sort by all of those. So that's very, very handy for the last analyzed. And the last 30 recorded. Now really this is basically kind of like the all events, but it's just underneath this different tab. So it's the last ones that were recorded, it's the date and the time that the file was recorded, which is the same way that they sort under the all events tab. Okay, and the last one, which is where I I spend a lot of time in the last 30 analyzed and in favorites. My favorites folder, I work in beta a lot, not in production, so you're not going to see a ton of them here, but we can have favorites where we can go back up to the all events and we can click on something around here and we can right click and add it as a favorite. Then that little star right there will not be grayed, but it'll be bright orange and it will be added to that folder. I'm going to get there, show you this process, but I'm going to use the search bar here to find that file, find a file that I want to find a little bit easier. I use the search bar a lot, and I'm just going to I'm going to type in EMI. This search bar is extremely powerful. If you hover over this little I right over here, it shows you that, I can't move my mouse, but it shows you the things you can search. Tracks, the racer's name, the vehicle, whatever you called the vehicle, the championship, the session type, race, qualifying, whatever it happens to be, the comment. If you had written some comments, you can jump in there. And the other one that a lot of people don't know is device name. You can type in MXG, you can type in MXG 1.3, and you can type in serial numbers. So if you knew your serial number or somebody and you wanted to type in at that level, it will bring up all of the data files that come from that serial number. So I typed in Emmy, and here's the different tests that I have from hers. And you can come in here, and I'm just going to take this one, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to set as favorite. And now if I jump into my back into my recents and favorites, and I go to favorites and highlight that, oops, I still have Emmy searched up here, so let's clear that out. So all my favorites, that search bar is very, very powerful. It was just clearing out everybody that wasn't named Emmy. So now Emmy is in here. A file from her that I marked as favorite is now in my favorites. If you have a record, your best lap at a certain track and you always want to go back to it really quickly, highlight it as a favorite. And then boom, it's always available to you very, very quickly to get there. Okay? Very, very powerful. I want to do something else on the search. I think I'll come back to that because I'm going to do something else in one of these next ones as well. So that's the recent and favorites. I use that a lot, so keep that in mind and use that if you get a chance. The next one is called Smart Collections. Smart Collections, you come in and you can type in a string of text and save it. And so then anytime, let's say I called one Watkins and Romanowski. If we come in here and we edit that collection, you'll see that I put the words Watkins and I put the words Romanowski in here. And so any files that I have that came from Matt with the last name of Romanowski and Watkins Glenn, I just put Watkins and click on OK. And if I click on that, you'll see the tests that came from Matt and Watkins, and a copy of them is going to be placed into this Smart Collection. They're still in the all events, but they are also a copy of them placed in here. Now, the only thing I want you to be careful on if you decide you're going to start using this, and it's something that took me a while to get the hang of, is while we are working on the names and the string that I put down here in this box, and it talks about what you can put in there. Put double quotes if you want a full match, if you want only the things that have those words in it. But I want individuals, so I left them without that. Once you do this, and I'm going to cancel out of that, this bar is still boss. And that keep in mind what this button here does. Search all. I've told it the words I've used were Romanowski and Watkins. And what I'm telling it is both of those words have to be in there in order for it to show up here. If I click off of that and instead of all, put any, you're going to see that there's every test I have in my database that has Watkins Glenn, has Watkins in any part of the data file, and has Romanowski. So there are a bunch of tests here with Matt, and there's other ones of Watkins Glenn with other drivers, and that's because of the any versus the all. Keep that in mind. If the if the string is not working the way you think it is, it's because this button can be set either of these two ways, and 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 you get different results. So keep that in mind as you if you start to play with these things. So I did another one with Gavin, who is David Smith's son, and I've got some data from him. So if I click on that, I told it in Gavin's case, I put Gavin and cart number 46. And so I've got anything that had Gavin in it, including other ones, Gavinator, and the cart number 46. Okay? These are very, very powerful. If you always want to sort your stuff out and have it ready for you to get to, write some of these smart collections, and your data will just make copies and put it into them. It might make it easier for you to find data from all your different tracks that you might visit. If you put wet in the comments and other times and dry in there, you can have it sort by that and make it a little easier for you as well. Qualifying, race, you put those terms in there and you can actually have very smart collections that way. Okay. The next one is manual collections. Manual collections, there are, I think I've got a number of them down here, but the, oops, that's not what I wanted. Let's click on Matt here. And manual collections are simply that. I just gave him a name, Matt Romanowski, or Romanowski 2021. I went up here, found all the events that he had ran in that I had data file from the year 1921, and I dragged them into a manual collection. So keep that in mind, and you can do that, and it works really well that way. You can manually make different lists of different ones, all your qualifying, all your different track. If you don't want to play with the smart collections, you can actually make manual ones as well. Mark asked the question, does it work with a partial name work? Yeah, I could put Roman, and it's going to find, it works the same way up here. If I go back to here and I just put, Roman, I think I have some other dates, some other, they're all Matts, it looks like here from the look of it. But yeah, partial, it finds any part of the name. So I could put to ski on there as well, right? And find put any in there, and we could find only place that I have that. Another one that kind of works that way, if I go back to the all events, let's get rid of that. One of the things that is kind of cool, and I don't type fast enough to make this work, but 4506, and then sometimes I have to wait just a minute, and 181. That is a serial number for a display. So if you know the serial number, plug it in there, and you can find that serial number whenever your data files have that. You could put in MXG. Here's all the data files that I have that came from an MXG. You could do MXG space 1.2, and there's all the 1.2s. If you knew it was a 1.3, you could do 1.3s. And now if you came in here and you came into the data and looked at it and looked at some of the background information, that's the next step we're going to talk about, you would see that. Okay. So anyway, this search bar is very, very powerful. Keep that in mind. We talked about 2 and 3 boxes here. We've been looking at weekends worth of data and seeing the data that is in there. But one of the things that we want to make sure that you are up to speed on is the preview window. You can have a preview window. Right now it's hidden. You can have the preview window to the right of the database. And here is, if we click on the little red eye, it has all the data about that file. And this is where it's searching. It searches in the comments. It searches in the loggers and the serial numbers. Of course, all the normal track championship racers and vehicles, all the normal stuff. So turn on that preview window if it's something that you might want to be looking for previews. I like it personally. I like it below. So a lot of people like it off to the right side. So, but you have that ability there. And if you want some real detailed about it, you can click on this. You can click on some data pieces. You can see all the lap times. You can see the different pieces about it. You can turn on different channels and see different speeds and different things. You can sort by your lap times that are already here. There's a lot of information you can actually see and find there that you don't even have to open the test to get to, right? You could turn on, instead of speed, you could turn on RPM, and you could then look at all the the maximum RPMs for all of your different files, right? And you can see all that here before you ever even open the test. It's in the preview window. We can see a picture of what the track map looks like with all of your laps. You can zoom in there. It's got all the laps that you have that you made in this time frame. If you want to go look at that, you can look at the weather from what the track was for that particular day. It's going to take a little bit to get the data for it, and then boom, there's the weather that happened on that particular day, all by these little icons, and then back to the details. It's pretty very, very, very interesting that you can do all of these things and see all of this in the preview window. Okay, let's walk briefly across all of these icons and get an idea of what other things are available to us here while we're looking at the video. What do some of these things do? The mode advanced, something that is we can go to the analysis interface as simplified. Dave Armstrong, I think you sent me a note. I think my guess, I think that yours might have ended up on simplified. That's what I am thinking about yours. That's one of them, of the possible problems that you sent me the email that we're going to talk about maybe tomorrow. But I leave it on advanced, and we'll have other webinars upcoming that we'll talk a little bit more about this option. Let's look at some of these and what's available to us. Here we looked briefly a little bit at Matt's data here. The show movies only when linked to data and show all sessions. If I click on this, it breaks them apart for me. If you can't get one to link, it's probably because you have, and you try and it won't link, it's probably because you have this set to show data only, show all sessions instead of when they're linked together. So I'm going to turn that back that way. That's what that icon's for. This icon is if you want to get to your profiles and do any copying, put them, clean copies up to the cloud, bring stuff off of the cloud onto your hard drive. You can get to your profiles with this little icon, and a lot of you probably have seen this box, but you usually see it inside of analysis. You can do this from outside here if you wish, instead of having to open a test. This one's kind of an interesting one. If you want to send a data file to AIM, this is a pretty good way of doing it. It does not use email. It goes through, I think, the AIM cloud process. So I'm going to turn off. I'm not going to take the time to send that, but you can jump in here, enter a subject. Please give AIM Italy some information about what you're doing. Hey, this is a broken file. This is what's wrong with it. Something, and then add something to the message down here. Check the one that you want, and you hit send. And what it's going to do is it just sends that through the cloud. I did this file earlier, and it was about 15 seconds. And then you get an email in your normal email, with the email that you're signed up as for your AIM account. Jumps back and email comes back. Hey, we received your file. We'll work on it, and we'll get back with you back soon with after we look at your data file. Okay, I'm going to exit out of that, but that's really handy for moving data files for support to AIM back in Italy if they need it, if they ask for it. Okay, the next one is something I've seen talked about there in the chat a little bit. I find this to be while I don't use it a ton, I do kind of like it. You have a couple of options here. Let me jump into one here that has a bunch of different data. Let's try this one. Boom. Let's turn off the preview down below just to make it a little easier to see. You can come in here and you can group by day. If you want to group your data files by days, it will actually group them and put another header bar up here above it, and you can do your sorts just inside of that particular date. Kind of handy if you like it that way. I typically don't use it that way, but you have that ability to group by days if you wish. The other one that I do rather enjoy is show as agenda. And this is just a different view. You can do everything you've been used to doing if you didn't have it set this way. But if you have a bunch of data files, maybe you have a team, and you got 3 or 4 cars that are downloading data at the same time, it makes it very easy to see. This happens to be a whole series of data that I've got stacked in here. You can see when the car happened, when the data was gathered, and this happened to be on the 6th of March, and who the car came from, and when these two ran on a practice session, and they didn't send data from the afternoon, but these two did, and they stack up in an agenda form here that you can see, so that when they had the official qualifying time on Sunday, you can see where all the car's data, who sent it. I can select it. I can select it just as easy as that, or double click on it and open it just like we normally could from the other list as well. And you can see where they here was probably a race. We can go down to the next day where there was another qualifying and another race. So the agenda view is some people really, really like it. So go ahead and play with that a little bit and see if you like it. It's this icon right here. It changes when you're in agenda view. You have little dots. If I go back to the list view, it's back to what we all are used to. Okay. Talked about this one already a little bit. If you turn on the preview pan at the same time, you can see who was fast. Let's do that. That was from Kyle. Let's turn that on there. Let's turn the preview, and let's put it below. And now you can click on each one, and now that's the information about that particular car, right? And you can see the lap time start lap time and all the different information, the same information you would normally get. Okay, I kind of like. I haven't gotten used to using it. I don't use it very often, but the agenda view is something that is intriguing to me. Okay, I'm going to go back to the list view. This icon is back to this importing data. I clicked on it earlier just so you would see it, but back to the bringing data in if you need to. Just give you several different ways of doing it. The next one is kind of interesting. If you were to click on a couple of sessions and you want to open them up, you can just double click and open it up, and it opens up to the last profile you had set. But if you come in here and you click on this icon, open selected sessions, it gives all of your different profiles, and the one that you have last opened is in red. So it makes it easy to find it if you're like me and have a bunch of different profiles. It makes it easy to find the one you have. If you have 3 or 4, it's not a big deal that it makes the last one red, but the last one you had opened up a file with. But kind of a handy little thing there. So that's what that button does, is you can select one or more sessions and open it up with a different profile than what you had before, or the same one. Pretty handy. This icon here is open sessions for a report. It's again, highlight them, and then you can open. It's something we've talked about in a couple of years ago, maybe at some length. We've had a webinar on it, but we have the ability in Race Studio 3. We're not going to go into it in any detail now, but we have a data report manager where you can set it all up ahead of time to give maximum speeds and average this and all these different things in a nice little report. You got to set it up and save it, and we give you a couple defaults. And then by opening up this and applying it to whatever test you want, you end up with some nice little reports. So that's where you get to your reports page, is by that little icon right there. This one right here is change properties for the selected session. Let me get down to just a single session. And let's use one of Matt's up here just for fun. And if I come in here and I click on that, it is the normal box that you're so used to probably getting at by right-clicking and saying, I want to adjust my properties. It's the exact same box where you can come in and tweak any of the things that you set when you downloaded the data. Okay, that's so you have that option there right here with this icon. If you want to export out a test, you can have it selected, and grab one of these that has doesn't have a video file attached to it, and then you can click on this little button here, and it comes up, and you can tell it where do you want it to go. You can put it into your downloads, you can put it into a data folder, to a different drive, whatever. And if I clicked on select that, it would take that XRK file from this file and put it right into off to the side for you, be ready for you to grab. Okay, so that's a little export. Imports are always to the left arrows, and exports are always to the right. If you remember, if you open up, let's do your profiles. you have this exact same import export looking icon. So those are very available for you all through the software. A couple things that I mentioned earlier. I talked about a question came up as well. What about the help files? Help files is what I use a lot to prep for these things. These little green question marks are all over in the software. If I click on that, it opens up. I'm going to bring it down so you can see it. There is a file that gets updated on your PC, and then when you click on here, it opens up a local file under your C drive, AIM Sport, Race Studio 3, docs, manual, HTML, analysis.html. It is on your hard drive. That file is also available. I think there's some links here. You can follow this and download a PDF of it from our AIM servers as well. And then if you want to go into the database area we're talking about, if I click on this, here's some of the stuff that we're talking about. And there is a bunch of information about Race Studio 3 and pretty detailed, and Emiliano works on it literally weekly. He keeps us as updated as possible. If you want to go in and find out information about different functions in here, it is a pretty well documented help process that you can go in there. You can do search, go down and find and do searches for different words, and you can find out a lot of different things. So Jeff mentioned about help files, so you can find the one that's on your machine. And if you haven't updated your software in a while and you'd like to get to a brand new, if you go to the top of this, there is a link to the PDF version of it as well. Okay, and it's updated as often as this is updated on your local machine as well. So this help file is something that I use all the time. I know Matt does as well. The math channels, any of these things that are a little bit hard to remember and keep track of, very, very handy. Okay, I got just a couple more here before we're getting close to running out of time, and I want to make sure we get through them. So let's say you wanted to get rid of a test. There's a little garbage can. You click on that. You want to permanently delete from the database from this selected session. I'm going to say no, but you can do that. You can work on some of the cloud settings that we're not going to go into detail of, but you can open this up and you can tell it how to automatically send stuff to your other computer. You can add a rule to share files or anything based on certain things, and the rule can be I want to click on it to share just to my other PC all the time, or with a certain teammate or coach or anything like that. You can there's some settings in here that we've gone over in the past, but we're not going to go over those today. But that's what that icon is, and this icon is, you will see this one will turn. We'll have a red little bell over the top of it with a number, may say 5. If somebody is sharing files with you, you'll get a little thing here, just like you do when new maps are available or new updates are available. You'll see the same thing over here, and you can click on this and go ahead and download those data files. Even if somebody's sharing stuff with you, you still have to click on this and then say, I accept those files and let's bring them into my database. It's just a one-step thing and it just gets done, but nothing is happening without you consenting, so keep that in mind. The other thing that can be done from right here, before you're actually even in the data, you can highlight a bunch of tests, and you can come into the track map dialog box, and you can actually change to a different split maps or different maps or whatever it is. You can do that from outside before actually getting in there and apply it to all of the data files you have, which is kind of handy if you're changing some of these alternate start finish line things we deal with sometimes nowadays. So that is pretty handy. You can actually open up math channels, and since I've got all of these selected, probably was a bad idea because it's going to now to bail out, but it's going to look at all these, and I can turn on certain math channels and click on those and apply those to the math before I even open it. So that'll take a second to close now that I got it looking into those into all of those files. So the help files are fantastic. The some of these different tools that we have up here across the top to do before you actually even get into the data files is fantastic. And all of these different icons to kind of shortcut. The last one, as soon as this is gone, that I wanted to show you, nope, I do not want that, is let's turn all those off and let's just pick one. Everything that we just did there plus some more is available with right clicks. One of the coolest things about AIM software that they do a lot, and it's everywhere in the software, and they're adding it all the time, is if I were to right click over anything, even if I had multiples selected, but I just did one here real quickly, there's a whole bunch of what these same icons can do for you is pretty much in here, plus a couple extras. I can open up the file with that default profile or any other one that I have. I can open up a track not considering the track. Let's say you have two different straightaways on two different tracks and you had a motor problem, you made a change, you don't have two of them from the same track yet, but you'd like to see the acceleration rates on two different tracks. Normal way AIM Race Studio 3 software works, it will not allow you to, it'll only open up Watkins Glen and put Watkins Glen on top. You can't open up, VIR and Watkins at the same time by default. You can, though, if you come in here and open files, open items not considering the track. Pretty handy if you want to bring them up. It puts it into time mode, but you can do your measurements and look at acceleration rates and oil temperatures and different things at different parts of a race, right? You can be comparing things. But of course, since we're so GPS-based, location tied, there's some things that can't be done, obviously, but pretty tight. Managers, data reports, export items, stuff we've already seen. One of the ones that's even cooler here that doesn't have an icon up above, if I've got that one highlighted, or any of them, and I open the items folder, this one, I use this a lot. I click on that, it takes me right to where that folder, right where that data file is, and it highlights it and opens it up. So if you wanted to make a copy of it, look at what the name was, the file size, anything about it, it opens up that file directly where it is stored on your hard drive. So very, very handy, that right click and open items folder. This is that one we already did, attach item to a support request to AIM. You can erase it, you can get right to the properties as we did before, and you can set as favorite like we've also looked at. So all of these icons we talked about and worked with a little bit, we kind of got right, we can get to them with these right clicks, which is very, very handy. So pretty friendly. I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of some of the stuff that's available. And we didn't even talk about some of the couple things up here. One of the things I use a lot before we go, and we're right on time limit, is this red AIM logo. Is some people don't understand exactly what that can tell you, but what's kind of handy about that is if you have your internet turned off on your laptop and you're wondering why you're not seeing the track map in the background or whatever, this goes gray if your internet is turned off on your computer. If you're not connected to the internet, you're at the track, somehow you lost your internet connection and you're wondering why things aren't working quite the way you think. I glance up, if that is red, you're connected to the internet. Okay, if it's gray, your PC that you're connected from is not connected to the internet. That's a real quick way of looking at that. And then of course the updates kind of from this same exact page. We've got the help menu that's right there. We can search for an update for a solo. We can find it real quickly. If this list is getting longer and longer and you can't find the gauge you're after, just type it into the search bar. These search bars are very, very powerful. And the last thing I wanted to talk about here, and it's kind of into the power of the search bars, I wanted to show it, and a lot of people don't go here. And it's kind of just off of the database page, but resources. A lot of people don't know exactly what this is here for you. But AIM has been trying to reduce the size of the updates of Race Studio 3 as an install package, and of course the updates. And so it looks in your database and your configurations, and it only updates the core files for the different loggers that need to be updated on your particular machine. And you never get a warning that there is some more updates available for these. So if you click on that resource tab on yours, you may see a bunch of these are looking for updates. If you don't help other people at the track and you don't have an MXQ or an MXG Strata Lite, don't download all the support files for that particular gauge, right? And just leave it the way it is. It's not bugging you. But if you go to the track and help people and somebody needs a configuration built or something and you don't have it and you're at the track without internet, it's nice to have them, and it just takes up a little bit of extra size. But again, tons of gauges in here. If you want to get in there and you want to get right to an MXM, all you got to do is type in here and you get all the different flavors of MXMs or MXGs, or whatever it happens to be. A little bit easier to find things. That search bar is everywhere inside of inside of the AIM Race Studio software, and it's very, very powerful. Okay. Well, I've been watching up there a little bit, and I haven't seen any other questions come in, and we're right here at the end of when we probably need to call it a day. So I'm going to jump back to the presentation here really quickly. If I don't see any other questions come up, I do appreciate. We went through a lot, and I knew it was going to be a lot of information. If you need to go back, slow it down a little bit and hit replay if there's a couple things we didn't get a chance to look at. So that's the database page and what all the power that's there. Hopefully, some of you that are new, you can maybe we gave you some of the basics and gave you some things to work with. Some of you have been using a lot. Hopefully I gave you a couple of new things that you hadn't worked with very often, or at least give you a background on some of them. So that's what our goal always is here. This video, as soon as I get done this evening, we're going to I'll get it up on YouTube as soon as I'm able, and get that out there. And we put it all out here on YouTube, AIM Data. Go ahead and subscribe to that YouTube page. That's where everything goes. And as new videos come up there, you'll get you'll get a little notice on that those are out there. So take a look at that, and that's where all of our other videos are. We're approaching 300 videos out there, so lots and lots of videos out there. So perfect. The customer support, we've recently been at the PRI show. We were out at race events all over the place. Make sure that you give us a call if you have any questions. We want to make sure that you're getting the most bang for your buck off of your investment in AIM products and your time investment into learning the software. So make sure you give us a holler if there's anything you need to get up to speed any better. So what are we going to do at our next webinar, January 27th? I believe what we're going to talk about is some new updates to Race Studio 3 analysis. That's what I think we're going to chat about. If not, you'll get your message 24 hours ahead of time, the email that gives you what's coming, and you'll know what we actually settled on. But I'm pretty confident we're going to talk about Race Studio 3 updates, some new stuff that's coming along, and that is going to be on January 27th. It's earlier in the day. It's 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and of course on YouTube as soon as we get done with that one as well. So a little bit of contact information about if you want to chat a little bit more about database or any other questions you might have. There's my email address down there at the bottom. Happy to always chat with different people and really enjoy our stuff, and happy to help. So thanks to everybody that showed up on our very first one of our 7th year of doing these. I appreciate everybody that showed up. Hopefully you got some good information out of that. Thanks to Matt and some of the others that were answering questions in the chat box. I was able to glance up there a little bit occasionally, and always good to have folks in the chat box passing out links and some different things of some of the stuff we've talked about in the past. So thanks everybody for coming. Thanks again to all of you that have joined us over the course of time here since we've started these. It's been good for everybody, I think, and very, very enjoyable. So good to see you here again today. We'll look forward to seeing you on our next one. Talk to you guys all soon. See you later.